Do you want to ask your favorite player a question after their match? Or get their in-game settings? The Fan Zone encompasses fan banners, a player settings channel, and a lot more. Here's how you can join to gain access to interact with fellow fans, cheer on your favorite team. Firstly, join the Discord at pks.gg/discord. Select NA Challengers Fan Zone. Pick your favorite team from the drop-down menu. And don't forget to show off that banner in Discord and on your socials. And that's it. You're in. You can now interact with fellow fans, ask player questions, and rep your team properly.
With eBay Refurbished, you have a choice of refurbished qualities to best fit your budget. Certified refurbished items are restored by the manufacturer to like new for up to 50% off. This drill was barely out of the box. Soon it will be back to working like new. Here's how it works. Every item is carefully inspected. Any imperfections are fixed by the manufacturer or manufacturer-approved vendor. Then it's tested to make sure it's working perfectly. Once it passes inspection, it's given the verified stamp of approval. Then repackaged with new accessories and shipped to its ultimate destination. With Certified Refurbished, you can shop with confidence because all our manufacturers go through a rigorous vetting process. And every purchase comes with an award-winning 2-year warranty, a money-back guarantee, and hassle-free returns. That's what makes it the smarter way to shop for premium brands. eBay Refurbished. Like new products, better than new prices.
Hello everyone, Valorant fans. Welcome back to another great day. Week 4, day 2 of the Knights Arena Valorant Challengers League North America. Things are ramping up as teams are looking to secure their spot heading into the face-offs or keep their chance alive. It's going to be a great day for sure. Make sure if you want to get involved in the conversation, you can do so with the fan zone at pks.gg/discord. Joining me for the conversation, though, today, I have with me here Upmind and Sully. It's going to be a great day, guys, but we do need to touch on yesterday's day, which was a pretty quick one overall, as very dominating victories coming out from, well, exactly who you'd expect.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, I just wanted to say this straight up. I think this entire week is a bit of just like expectation setting for the teams heading into this season that we thought were good. All of the signed teams are facing open qualified teams this week. The lines are drawn, and yesterday they were just solidified with the fact that the signed teams ended up winning.
Yeah, I think that we're like at a certain point in the season where this week's games matter more than anything, and we're going to talk about that as we move forward, but there's a lot of emphasis on every single game. You've got 2 more games left, one more after this week, and every single round matters at this point in time, Sierra.
It really, really does. Looking ahead at our standings. I mean, there's definitely a clear front runner of who's in the top spots looking ahead. I mean, very strong victories. Looking at Group B, M80, of course, yesterday, stamping their ticket to that 4-0. Today, we could potentially see G2 do the same. But considering there's still quite a bit of contention around the middle of the bracket, it's exactly as you said. Going into today and this week, these matches matter so much.
Absolutely. Just look at how close that Group A is. Again, all of Group B is pretty much going to be decided today. We could have more action going in next week if Mad Lions ends up winning, but Group A is going to stay tight until next week. There's a guaranteed at least a two-way tie going into next week in terms of records for that 4th spot. So overall, we're just getting closer and closer, even though, of course, near the top, not so much.
Hey, the teams that came into this league swinging, I mean, they're definitely showing everybody exactly what they're about, and that'll be really exciting to see going on forward into today because, of course, one of those big teams sitting up there at the 3-0, we will be able to see right out of the gate. It is going to be G2 going up against Turtle Troop. Later on, we'll have the Guard going up against Mad Lions, and then, of course, 3 days in our Valorant week. We're going to have an exciting day tomorrow of matches as well. Shopify Rebellion, Moist Moguls, and FaZe and Oxygen Gaming.
Yeah, honestly, just a lot of really important games moving forward. I think today is probably some of the most important games specifically for Turtle Troops and Mad Lions. But again, we'll touch on that in a little bit. Shopify and FaZe Clan, 2 teams that are, like you were saying, Sierra, kind of in the middle of the pack. That 4-way tie is a really stressful situation to be put in. So again, you're looking at these matchups, you look at the standings. Yeah, every single match matters. And again, I'm going to put a lot of emphasis with a 4-way tie and a guaranteed 2-way tie after this between 2 different teams. It's, you know, every round matters. Round differential is going to be a really big player, I think, as we move forward.
Yeah, going into our first match of the day, G2 up against Turtle Troop. It's Turtle Troop fighting for a chance to claim their own destiny going forward in this thing as G2. I mean, they could lock up what's already a very sure thing going forward into this. And G2, I mean, they have looked fantastic. A couple tiny little stumbles, but overall, just such a strong, cohesive team going forward in Challengers.
Yeah, I mean, overall, this is a team that, in my opinion, has been a really, really overhated team. And I mean that in probably the best way possible. I'm thinking back to, like, when this team got announced. There's just, like, again, there's a stigma around that old Sentinels core of Shazam and Dapper, and I spoke about it last week as well, where you kind of just inherently doubt on this team because of that event, that unfortunate fall that Sentinels had after their reign of dominance. So everyone kind of looked at this team and was like, yeah, we don't, like, you kind of want the name G2 to be a prominent name in Valorant, but given the core that they've got, you don't expect too much. And I personally think they have exceeded every single expectation.
They really have. And I mean, they've talked so much about the importance of this team environment. Coming from different teams, we have parts of the old Sentinels roster as well as V1. And it's mixing together really, really well, all things considered. They've so much focus on this environment, as well as switching things up from week to week, is really just showed they're taking this so seriously. They're looking for redemption. They're looking to reclaim their spot in the big leagues. But we have to touch on the new fresh blood on the roster, of course, Oxy, because Oxy has just been incredible. This one comes from Sam as well, talking to him last week. Oxy's insane. I've been vouching for him really hard since the beginning. He's a young kid, but super humble, really talented, and fun to play with. So hopefully we can keep setting him up to succeed. And he definitely did last week.
Yeah, and you know, I think every single team, Sierra, needs a star player, and that was kind of what Sentinels had hoped when they picked up Oxy, right? When he was on Dark Ratio, he was, in my opinion, not the greatest of Jets, not the greatest of duelists. You kind of wanted more from this kid, and I think coming into week 3 last week, I said it. I was like, hey, you know, Oxy, we want this kid to be the Zekin, we want this kid to be the Trent, we want this kid to be the 10s, we want him to be a star player. And, you know, Shazam has been good at cultivating stars. He's played with 10s in the past, so it was kind of just, you're looking at this team and say it's only a matter of time before Oxy reaches, you know, form or star form, and that's what he did last week. And now I'm looking at him again, say, hey, you went plus 22, you had one of your best defensive halves ever. We want you to maintain that form, and I want to see him reach his peak when he hits that mid-season face-off.
And going up this week too, facing off against Turtle Troop, It'll be interesting to see, just in comparison, Oxy facing off against Governor, because Turtle Troop, I mean, they definitely stepped up last week and being able to take down a win. So be interesting to see this face off here.
Yeah, I mean, overall, it's going to be interesting to see, first of all, how Governor is going to play into this week. Yeah, his stats are actually pretty decent, and if you compare those to the first 2 weeks of VCL, definitely a lot better. The roles are really being solidified for this Turtle Troop team, and especially with the fact that they picked up new support staff, new coaching staff in the last 2 weeks. This is really the culmination of a lot of their preparation. Really, where can we really see each individual be comfortable? But, of course, where they're going to be comfortable is going to be that duelist role, Governor versus Oxy in that 1v1. Again, Oxy had a pop-off last week. It's hard to be able to repeat something like that, so I'm just expecting more or less the same stats between the two players, but we're expecting fireworks no matter what.
Yeah, I think this is a really tricky duel just for Governor alone, because you're talking about how they picked up new support, and that's in the form of Mummy, a guy that hasn't been around in the scene for far too long. So we'll talk about it a little bit as we look at the B-roll for Turtle Troops. But I mean, I just think that Turtle Troops, a lot of expectations are on this team, because it's not necessarily you have to win. I mean, I'm going to say you want to win here. You want to maintain at least a neutral record. This is a game where you bring in 2 new players. They haven't had a coach in literally forever. They don't have a coach right now. They lost Jackson, their coach that led them through the open qualifiers, that brought them to this point literally within the first week. He's signed to a new team. So there's a lot for Turtle Troops to say, we need to prove ourselves. Like, this was a team that I had high hopes for, and I just feel like nothing has gone their way, essentially. And yet they're still proving that they have a chance to make it to the mid-season face-off, Sierra.
Yeah, this is the opportunity for them to really be able to seal their own destiny with that, because you want to make sure that you can claim those wins. You don't want to be counting on another team's downfall to maybe try and push you on through. But considering the lack of support staff, considering the 2 new players in here, despite the fact that they have to be doing this all for themselves, the pickup and the win over Moist Moguls last week, I feel like is that glimmer of hope, and I'm intrigued to see with that week what they've managed to put together.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at Adder here specifically. Is like, you talk about that win last week, and it's this guy Adder. These are the stats from that last matchup. Not the greatest stats, not the stats that we expect from a guy like Adder, someone that had been one of the probably the most critical players when it came to that open qualifiers run. And you know, there have been some news that Adder was considering switching to a different team. That might have messed up the practice schedule. They didn't have the full time with Adder. He's elected to stay here in Turtle Troop. So now you've had a full 2 weeks with this guy. You've been day in and day out. You know what this guy's capable of. I'm looking at Adder and I'm saying, hey, there were doubts if you were staying on this team. Now what I want to see is, Adder, you're back on this team. Prove your worth and show that there's a reason why you're still here. And I want to see this guy pop off.
This has the potential to be such a good series between these 2 teams. And with the map select that we have, I'm very intrigued about this one in particular, because there was a couple things that we got to learn about our teams last week. First off, the Fracture pick with Turtle Troop. That was where they took down their first victory against Moist Moguls.
Yeah, I mean, Fracture has been comfortable for Turtle Troop, and this BO3 in general is going to give us some of the most comfortable Valorant between these 2 teams. Turtle Troop, 3 weeks in, have played 3 maps of Fracture. G2, 3 weeks in, have played 3 maps of Haven. And Turtle Troop, going into the bans, same thing with G2, Split and Lotus were both maps that they seemed comfortable with, or at least they seemed comfortable with just leaving out in the open. With G2, however, they have played 6 out of the 7 possible current maps in the map pool already in just 3 weeks of play. G2 are fully prepared for pretty much the entire map pool, and you can see that in the fact that they banned out one of the new maps instead, the only map that they haven't played.
Yeah, I'm interested to look at this map pool, because they don't let Lotus through. Fracture was a map that they lost in week 1 to FaZe 5-13 when we were looking at this G2 lineup and saying, hey, what is this team capable of? The fact that they let this map go through and have elected to say, hey, we're not going to ban Lotus, let's leave Fracture or we're going to ban Lotus and leave Fracture in the map pool. I'm curious to see what advancements they've made, because again, we haven't seen them since week 1. It's been 3 weeks since they last played Fracture. Again, lost to FaZe Clan. And, you know, I feel like this team has been on an upwards trajectory. I'm really curious to see, hey, what changes are coming to Fracture? How do these guys look now on it?
Definitely a couple questions going into today, and hopefully we can get a couple of them answered. Before we get into our series and into Agent Select, though, of course, an opportunity to hear from G2 themselves going into this series.
Sentinel, G2 Esports. Our team expectation is obviously to win it, but to like go further into that, we know in order to win something as big as challengers, we have to go in looking day by day, map by map, team by team. I think our coach Imi and our assistant coach Danny, and then obviously Shazam, who's our RGL, have been working hard on like creating multiple comps for the same map. So we're always like trying to be one step ahead, and we can't really get countered because like, hey, we played double duelist this week, and now we're gonna play no duelist the next week, and we're trying to get comfortable playing all of them. And it's a process, but I'm really, I think it's working, so I'm happy how it's going. So I think all my teammates are amazing in all their different ways. I would say like Whippy is a really good closer. So like I could lurk and be more aggressive because I know Whippy is just gonna play bomb and be a little rat like outside. So he gives me like the security to do what I like to do. Penny is a really selfless teammate. I know whatever he's told to do, he'll do it, no hesitation. And that's like a really invaluable aspect to have in a team. Shazam, I've been playing with him since Valorant first came out. Me and him pretty much think the exact same, and it's really easy to like help him and know like when he's struggling and when he's just on fire. And you know, I personally enjoy playing with him so much. And then Oxy is just like, I want to support this guy to do whatever he's feeling, because when he's feeling it, he can just do whatever. He could just drop 50 and I wouldn't even be surprised. So it's definitely been bumps, but that's like to be expected with any new team. I think at least my personal philosophy, I'm really big on open communication. If anybody's uncomfortable doing something, or someone really doesn't like how their role is on a certain map or a certain execute, we like it to be very above board and no one building like resentment or anything like that. We try to keep it healthy and talk out problems like adults. Yeah, so Turtle Troop had some interesting, like, they seem like they're going through roster changes. Don't really know what's going on in the camp, but going into any match where there's a whole bunch of unknowns, it kind of just throws any, like, counter strat or prep for them kind of out the window, and you just have to focus on playing your own game and being disciplined, not really giving them ins, because at the end of the day, you know they're going to be less practiced and less refined, so you just kind of have to abuse those holes. I think we just kind of play a tight game. We try not to give leads or throw away economy. Yeah, you just play any advantages. You try to expose their mistakes and capitalize. So.
Straight into the game, the words of wisdom from Dapper. Map number 1 is Fracture, and G2, Gus, like I was saying in the pregame, they have only played this once, and they got slapped up 5-13 to FaZe Clan.
Turtle Troop just last week, they didn't look all too bad on this map. Again, it did go to overtime, but they were playing with 2 brand new players. They only had like 3 or 4 days with those players on this map. This is the map that they've played the most. They played it 3 times. They're looking to capitalize again.
Yeah, you know, you talk about like this is going to be a competitive map pool for these guys. I'm concerned purely because we don't know what G2 is cooking up for us, and the sense
it's been a few weeks.
Is that, hey, you know, changes have been made, and they have been making changes. They're going to be running an Astra over a Brimstone. Breach is still in the mix. Cypher is there, but no KO, and they're running a double duelist. And I think that's probably the biggest thing, because we've been seeing changes, and one thing they've been running is that Neon and Jet, which we are going to see on Haven. We get to see it here on Fracture first.
Yeah, still very excited to see Whippy too. The addition of the Astra, we were seeing more Brimstone before. It was just very linear utility, more or less. Right. Whippy has been an incredible controller over the years. Just needs a better agent to be able to show that.
Yeah, and I mean, I look at Turtle Troops as well as a team that has been in developing process, kind of making changes over and over. They've made 3 different agent composition changes on this side of Fracture. Granted, I think the most recent one is because, well, you picked up 2 new players, Mummy and Tig, and we didn't get to talk about them too much, and we have a moment here. Turtle Troops picking up these 2 players. It's interesting because you pick up Mummy, a guy that hasn't been to this scene for quite some time, right? There was a period where he was on the most dominant team in North America, in the world even, that being on the team of Envy. Kind of went off the face of the earth, doesn't have too much experience when it comes to tier 2 as of late, played a couple of series before joining Turtle Troops. And then for Tig, a guy that IGL'd one of the most infamous pug teams, I feel like, to date, the Nation, brought them all the way to 1 best 3 away from qualifying, didn't get there, and now he's here. And he's a guy that I was super excited to watch. I'm happy he's here finally, and I think with his new calling structure, you kind of relieve the calling, the IGLing role from Governor off of him, so he can kind of get unleashed. Put that on Tig, who's been phenomenal in the past.
After 2 weeks, 3 weeks of play, those were the biggest questions that we had about this team, about the leadership, about the calling, the communication. Now they're together. It's been a few weeks now. They're juiced up and ready to go.
Yeah, it looks like G2 want to take early control here of the top side of the map. You kind of just Oxy in this first duel towards A main. Now the realization pivots back towards A. Shazam drops, and they're going to start to get flooded on here in the A site.
Not too many bodies. Oxy needs a huge headshot to just keep the site, but it's not going to happen. There goes the spill from Tig. And actually, this rush into Dish, this clears out the entire site. Pistol's got to be over.
Yeah, and you know, Fracture was a map that the Nation were super good on, and I give a lot of credit to Tig because a lot of cool ideas. And this one in particular was really nice. A quick exit, that fast lane, isolating the fight against Oxy, pushing him out in towards the open. Puts it now into a 5 versus 2 where Turtle Troops really no worries whatsoever in this round unless some magic can come from Dapper.
He starts it off right. Close range frenzy. Expected to win a battle like that, but Governor.
Never mind.
Very sharp. And no chance for Dapper, surely. Governor popping off. 2 quick headshots at the end, but there you go. Turtle Troop. It's just the start that they needed. Can finally get some momentum. G2, however, going into this game, Sully, we were expecting more of just like a routine day. These are the type of games that G2, they just want to get out of the way.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm looking at this game saying there's going to be nothing held back from Turtle Troops because this is kind of life or death for them. You're 1 and 2 right now in the records or in the standings. A loss here puts you at 1 and 3, Gus. So nothing is being held back from Turtle Troops. This is kind of a life or death game. Whereas for G2, they sit 3-0. They're pretty comfortable at the top of their bracket. A loss here still gives them a chance to make calls, to make mid-season face-off no matter what. So I think if you're G2, you're not worried too much about this game. Still, though, you want to see the capabilities they have and see, hey, can you maintain the form that you've maintained for the first 3 weeks?
Again, we just want to see that form be solidified. And again, we had so many doubts about G2 somehow going into the season.
Right.
Like
now
you said, of course, about the Sentinel stuff.
What were we thinking?
But like, come on, what were we thinking? We're looking at Penny, first of all. I had a pretty fun game earlier, like yesterday, just like clicking through his match history and trying to see if there was a match where he didn't top frag on V1 last year. Even though he was playing with the likes of Whippy, with the likes of Zelsis, with the likes of Wardell. But even then, the guy was dominant last year, and we just didn't put that much stock in this team. And of course, you could keep talking about Oxy, keep talking about Whippy, but overall, G2, a lot of underestimation.
This goes here. Oh, this is
Bonus round here for Turtle Troops. Leaves them with 2 Bulldogs, 2 Spectres, and a singular Stinger. And again, G2, very similar to that pistol round. It's going to be Penny and Shazam. They're going to duel very early here towards the top side of the map, over towards Dish. It's a counter here with a fault line from Lung. That will give them control here, Turtle Troops. And Penny's got no response besides relay bolts of his own.
Yeah, the double stun is a crazy idea. They even went for another one. Governor, now without stuns, you wanted to trap Penny, just at least get 1 kill out of that Dish interaction. Instead, grouping back over towards B, where there's so much recon util, it might be tough to hold.
Yeah, and Turtle Troops just kind of force information away from G2, so that will make this site hit a little bit easier. And the way that Whippy and Dapper are playing, they're playing very off site, so they're not going to engage too much in this.
Yeah, they're waiting for smoke frags.
Maybe get a tag, and yes, they do.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get one out of it. There's still another trip there. And the camera, Mame, incredibly low. No ping. Where's the pings? Finally, there it is. Whippy able to get the shot. 2 players going down through smokes. Finally, plant going down. Adder needs this kill. Gonna be able to get it off the Stinger. Has the gun upgrade. A couple of rotations too from G2. They have so much good coverage. TTR completely plugged out, but they're trying to fight back. No way! Tig, how does he get 2 out of that? Make it a third. A 1v1 now for Tig. Shazam wrapping his way. Coming around the corner. Tig already hears him, and he's playing with his heartstrings. The guiding light gets released. But finally, the defuse. He has a line of sight of it. Shazam is still going!
That's ridiculous.
But even after he lifts off, Tig gets the headshot. A 4K for Tig.
Yeah, that is just an immaculate clutch from Tig. And his individual capabilities alongside his ability to call as IGL is the craziest thing and why I was so hyped for this Tig pickup. They had only a week to work together before their matchup against Moist Moguls last week. Now they've had a full 2 weeks, and Tig is going to start to implement every idea that he's brought from his previous teams. And bringing in his fragging power, he's a deadly combination with this team. And G2, they'll be forced to reset here, and they're going to be looking to get aggressive towards A main. The south side of the map is going to be the main contention.
With control of the south side, they all just want to go together at this point. They have completely left A main, and not only that, completely cut noise after making a lot of it over towards B main. It's just the type of slow play that we haven't expected from TTR.
Yeah, no flash there from Tig to send Comforter through. That would have been a pretty risky play. And he's on 5 HP. No guns here for G2, no ultimates to play with as well, so this one is kind of just cut and dry with these sheriffs. If they can get damage, I think they'll be happy, but it's going to be difficult.
Actually, this retake a little bit. There's 2 players up in front of site. Actually get a line of sight onto Governor. 1 player around the corner. And Penny utilizing the Stinger at least for 1 back before kills go alongside it. At least a 4th round for TTR. Not too many guns dropped. Going into the 5th now. G2, they need this.
And one thing I love about this Turtle Troop side and what you saw last week is they kind of just, they simplified things a lot. Like, they're not overdoing it, like, especially that anti-eco round. It's not, hey, let's sit back and wait for aggression. No, let's just, you know, we've got the better guns. Let's just make a slight exit work. And that's what that round was right then and there. So G2, guns will come back to the forefront. No attempt at any kind of aggressive crunch, but they are going to try and take top peak early. We did being the solo smokes player. It's kind of big if he stays alive. It's a big if he goes down there for G2. He doesn't overextend whatsoever, and instead they start to work the top side of the map where Dish and this A crunch starts to come forward.
It really is just the contact, though, that keep G2 on their toes.
And they're working back towards, I'd imagine, A main. There's more control towards this A main side than there is towards B. And they have a Rolling Thunder to work with here as well. And there's still a minute left, so I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we could see a last-second pivot. You have the trip working towards Arcade. You're watching your flank here as well now.
They're not setting up Breach Shield Tail. They're just going right into it. Finally, there goes the stun, but actually, G2, they had the right answer for that. Good stuff, Shazam. Now there goes the Rolling Thunder, though. That's all that they were waiting for to try to clear out sand, but nobody's coming at him. In main right now, Tig on his lonesome, swinging out. There's only 1 person on site. It's gonna be Shazam. Picks up the first, 2 more in front of him, and they're gone! 1v1 now, Weeded. 30 seconds left. He needs to hunt the kill to try to get the round. 33 HP! Oxy pops out, and Weeded gets it done.
Yeah, these are just some of the most... That was the most interesting round I think I've ever watched.
What?
Because Shazam is sitting in the pocket of A, baiting 2 of his teammates, and it's all about luck there for Shazam. He gets beautiful timing of the 2 players dropping out a drop. Finds 3 kills and puts an opportunity there for Oxy, but at the end of the day, I'm just bewildered. It comes down to a 5 HP or 9 HP for Weeded to win out that round. And it's a lot of ultimates lined up. And a B hit being worked here by Turtle Troops as G2 are looking to take a crunch towards the top side of the map.
It's gonna be fast. Dapper
There's no
has
one
a Stinger, so it's just gonna be the one and done probably, right? Just to try to get it. Can't get the rifle back, and gets the info for his teammates. That's all he wanted. Whoa.
Ult goes in as well. They still...
That's a lot of util.
What is this? They pop an ultimate as well towards Jenny to try
committing.
and prevent the push. And now G2 are on the back foot.
And it is
Ultimate
rifles
from
versus
Penny.
pistols.
You have the Blade Storm here for Oxy, and Tig is just lurking around again.
Get your ace.
4K for this guy. He's going to probably look for the 5th here in a second.
Oh, the Trailblazer got destroyed. But Penny now, a very possible 1v3. The HP is full here for Penny.
Planted.
There's a little bit of util still. These positions.
This is a one-on-one
Entirely
team.
unknown. Look at the HP. Look at the HP. It was so low on Mame. But the damage was good from him. Weeded just finishes it off.
An extremely clean 6-0 start from Turtle Troops. It was G2 that faced issues against FaZe Clan, losing 13-5. Wanted to see improvements. I don't know if they have made improvements or maybe Turtle Troops has had them. There's been a comp change, but not much else.
Yep.
3 ults here for Turtle Troops to try and push into this B site. They leave just Dapper, who this time around there's no real contention from G2 towards the north side. This gives a lot of space for Turtle Troops to begin to work the B site, and they start to accelerate forward as well.
And way too much even. Dapper just wanted to take advantage of potentially one of these kills, but there you go. Just uses the trips for one smoke kill, takes away the ulti of Governor. That's an even better ultimate too. Spreading away some of these players back over towards spawn.
I know exactly.
Barely in the gap. Oxy, that's a massive kill to get back in. 3v4 now. He did. He's gonna have to have the first contact here, but you have Penny wrapping around. That aftershock is actually so good though. Penny can't peek off of that. He's gonna peek a little bit late. Weeded, head on a swivel, and Weeded finds Penny. Now all 3 towards spawn, and Weeded knows it. He's still covering the smoke. There goes the dash, and he gets yet another kill. Mummy finds Oxy after the whiff, and it's a 3K from Mummy at the end. A bit of a disaster as G2 had the spots they wanted.
And what a volley from Weedon, and that split-second decision to allow, first of all, one of his teammates to swing through the Cosmic Divide in front of Arcade, another to come through tower to hold his B main. And that guy Weedon, like you said, head on a swivel, pivots and swings around, and wins that round entirely for his team. His positioning is so crucial in the sense that he's kind of the pivot point. Wherever he swings, player is there ready to trade him, player is there ready for a crossfire. And Turtle Troops have found themselves in one of the most unlikely situations we've seen so far in Challengers. A 7-0 lead over the group leaders, G2.
Oh, it's a long way up still for G2. And the next round isn't going to help them out either. They already used a Blade Storm. I was going to comment on it. Oxy, he has the most ultimate kills throughout this tournament by 5. The Blade Storm has been going so crazy for him on those anti-eco rounds, or excuse me, for those eco rounds. But they don't have it for this round. They have no hope. It's probably going to be an 8-0. I don't know what to tell you, bro. This is just crazy right now. Where did this TTR come from?
It's G2 who I feel let a very weak map for them slip through into this map when they had lost 9-3 on their defensive side against FaZe, so there's maybe a little bit of hope to say, you know, maybe there's an opportunity for them to pull a comeback on the attack. They are playing with a double dive setup, double duelist composition. So there's hope there. This is Turtle Troops that,
Camera taken out.
unfortunate to say, removed 2 of the statistically worst players in Challengers, that being Okeanos and Harmful. And, you know, that's not to bash on them. It's a tough world out here, but yeah, made 2 major changes. With only a week of practice, now you've had that second week, and they are putting up some good numbers here. And I'm excited to see what else they have for the rest of this series.
Gonna be the first pick off the right. Those Penny in an interesting spot, but that's gonna be it. And the A side just has to be done right, unless, well, Oxy's just gonna have to have fun, right? There he goes, able to get 1 headshot. Needs to connect a few more dots, but Weeded is there. Yes, TTR. Again, wasn't expecting much action out of that attack side. If anything, was expecting more of that creativity from Tig, trying to take up more early map control on the defensive side, but again, G2 just not having any answers for, again, some of the slower play style that we've seen from TTR in comparison to the last few weeks. Again, 3 maps of Fracture so far.
This one was a slow round, just kind of switching up their anti-eco style, which with the other anti-eco style was just a full exit going to be. This one was sit back in a kind of wait for aggression. They got exactly that. Use the Trailblazer to clear. And this is kind of a pivot point for G2. A loss here resets them. Turtle Troops would be storming to a 10th. And this is a map that just looks so unprobable. And Turtle Troops, with this Rolling Thunder, they're going to work the B site, but they've got a duel here. And it's going to be big here. Vader can win this fight against 3 players pushing it. They accelerate quick.
No, it's only the one. Exactly. He makes the call. Needs to get that control up into tower, into Arcade quickly. 2 big kills for now. But again, the defense is still there. Still have Penny back over towards ramp. And Tig, what a position from Tig. Still has a little bit more to deal with. Penny has the right spot. With the aftershock too, it's a 1v3. Mame is gone. Finally around for G2 right when they needed it.
They got aggressive. They earned themselves some map control, played the retake from B main, and made things a whole lot more difficult for Turtle Troops. And I think that Tig kind of goes for a really cheeky play, but it's only good for one. tucks himself over here towards the connector where Jenny is, and ultimately just splits himself up from the rest of his team where he can't use his flashes to support his teammates. And Turtle Troops losing their first round, that keeps G2 afloat with those 3 players staying alive, still the operator to play with. But for Turtle Troops, you still have that Rolling Thunder. G2, Shazam, not too far off of his, but I don't know if we're going to see that one in this round exactly.
The loss bonus is gone too, so G2 still lose out in this round. They're not out of the woods just yet. The early contact, you can see it's a lot more cautious from TTR, that's for sure.
I think he spotted the operator, so Adder lets to back away. Rolling Thunder to...
It's full 5 on A.
I don't think they're going to full clear Sam like they have been in the past with that Rolling Thunder, just because there's no one to capitalize on that from A main. So this is a tricky exec. You're going to have to work with this fast lane here to try and get out. And I think this will just be an ult into sight, trying to get control. But you can see G2 have tucked into A main. Similar to how they played the B main retake, that's how they're going to do it here.
That ulti would have been so big for Penny, but instead now Oxy actually gets hit by the Rolling Thunder. He has to stick it in the smoke. Adder, what a shot. Control is there now, but Shazam is dangerously close. Don't think they know he's there, but they still clear the angle anyways. And Whippy just goes out, just really in a 1v4 type swing. Dapper, money dwindled already for G2. The rounds are dwindling here for G2. TTR, all they did was waltz out a dish.
Now this is absurd from Turtle Troops. A much cleaner round, and I think the last shot was just not a wake-up call, but a hey, we actually can't just do whatever we want to do to win these rounds. Dapper's going to be just looking to save this rifle. At a 9-1 lead for Turtle Troops. This game is looking to be quite a tricky one for G2. We knew we weren't going to see anything held back from Turtle Troops. This is a deciding game for them if they can make the mid-season face-off and earn those big circuit points. And with what they brought out here, Tig's game plan, it's looking good for them. Still, we're only in map 1, only in the first half. But everyone in Turtle Troops is clicking aim-wise, I feel like.
I mean, that was the image, right, of Turtle Troop going into this entire year. I mean, the team was pretty much comprised of 4 or 5 former main duelists, all players who we would expect to individually pop off, and that just didn't happen. But Tig and Mame, I still think that their fragging potential is near the same, but in terms of the util support, it's exponentially changed.
Fast, aggressive play here from G2 and Turtle Troops. Another quick B main crunch, and Penny's gonna try and push forward.
Oh, he's gone. Penny, such an important ulti. Gone in an instant, and Governor rules over this entire site now. Shazam is close, but it's gonna be the wall that just red carpet them right into the middle of the site. They were clearing for a few tripwires too. They've gotten tripped up way too many times on these execs. Now G2, 3 players up front. They do have the Rolling Thunder. It's 2 ult points still for ultis. Oxy actually gets one back. Have the Blade Storm too, but still Governor finally pulling out the overdrive, and Shazam is gone double digits before the half is over.
Love that post plan from Turtle Troop. They anticipate the retake. They anticipate the Rolling Thunder. Adder plays towards Arcade. 2 players play towards B main. It's such a simple idea, but in the moment, you can get lost. And Turtle Troops were not lost whatsoever. They had the read. And G2, they tried to replicate their success from the one round they won, which was a get aggressive in B main, take that control. Doesn't work there whatsoever. Now they're playing with scraps, and Turtle Troops standing 10-1 over their opponents. What is the answer here? Blade Storm is out for Oxy, and they're going to try and push A main, but that's all the control you're going to get. And Turtle Troops are respecting that.
These types of guns, they're not doing anything overly drastic, but this A main push is probably the most intense thing that we've seen from G2 so far. All the way up is the double duelist. They're going to get caught by the trip, and that's going to push the push from Arcade soon, probably. Info from A right now. Tig is just pulling off such a good fake. Exactly. 2 players are stuck here on B, though. They were thinking about rotating, but Dapper is still here. Governor just needs to shut him down, and they have the site. Still a tripwire up front, too. That could be a big assist. Dapper using the stinger, still alive. Tripwire still in sight, but even then, the rest of TTR, they're hungry for blood. They're going hunting. Everyone else but Dapper going down, and now he's on his lonesome. 1v3. Neat and tidy Dapper
30 seconds left.
is done for. 11-1.
Not a prayer in the world there for Dapper. What an astounding first
Switching
half from
sides.
Turtle Troops. And this is just an abysmal look for G2. A team that we had expected and we had hoped that this is a team that, yeah, lives up to the expectations set in week 2, set in week 3. The expectations from week 1 was that this team was not going to be a top contender. Here, they're not a top contender. Turtle Troop are all over them in that first half. And in this second half, it's, hey, Oxy, you got to come alive. This is your half. He's always been better on the attacking side, and that's what we're looking for. Can Oxy step up to the plate? Can he maybe, by some grace, make this comeback happen?
Listen, the comp changes for G2 mean that they want a little bit more support on the attack. So let's see if they've got it. They make their way out of sand, but there's 3 people in A main for TTR, and they've got these players at G2 completely stuck. They have control of Spike, but they are getting pinched. Penny is through alongside the Jets. There goes the big spray, but still Whippy getting the trade back. But TTR has all of them in the palm of their hands. 12, 1 away from a 13-1. What?
Just a really, really big team fight between these two teams, and Turtle Troop calmly are able to deal with it. Those 2 players, I think it was Shazam and Penny, or apologies, Mummy and Governor were ready for that kind of crunch, so they played together there. Win out the 12th round, a force up for G2, and a possible 13-1 against group leaders in Group A. G2 have got everything to play for here with this one round in this map.
Can't believe how abysmal their buy is. That's why they're going some crazy contacts right now. Just trying to make sure they're baiting in some of these players into a 1v1, get them into their space. But now in goes Penny, trying to clear sight. But there's 2 players here. Big shot from Whippy though. Now it's still We Day. There's still 2 players here for Turtle Troop. The stakes are still very much high. Governor still here. Dapper still looking for the swing. The pistols are dwindling little by little, and it's the SMG doing all the work. Governor still has 1 more in front of him. They're all gone.
Unruly.
The Troop are feeling juiced. It's 13-1 over G2.
That is an outrageous first map scoreline. Like, we literally just started the broadcast, and Turtle Troop are whipping out a 13-1 against G2 Esports, who again currently sit 3-0 in our groups. This is an outrageous scoreline. It's something that, you know, yeah, changes were made to make this team better, but I did not think it would make them this good.
Surely, right? But last week, they showed us the silver linings. They showed us the organization of this team, but Fracture was so close. It was so ungodly close against Moist, a team near the bottom of this group. So now they face up, on paper, a better team, and G2 just couldn't catch up.
And it's questions of, yeah, did G2 let this map through because they had looked better, they had made better changes? No, I think it was just
they have
weren't
so many
comfortable on
maps.
Split, they weren't comfortable on Lotus, and so I'm concerned for G2. It's like, if this is a map that you had intended to improve on, I'm afraid for our second map. I'm afraid for the second map of Haven, where, yeah, both teams have experience on that map. This one was undoubtedly one of the weaker maps for G2, but man, Turtle Troop, I don't think it's a testament to how poorly G2 played. It's a testament to how well Turtle Troop played.
I mean, we're gonna have to see, right? The next map, again, G2 have the same amount of experience as Turtle Troop. Again, Turtle Troop have played Fracture every single week of VCL so far. G2, they've played Haven every single week of VCL so far. So we're gonna see that veteran side on Haven right after the break.